When I first heard about this coronavirus business, I thought to myself, these Chinese are resilient wee bastards. They'll sort this out before tea time. But now look, the whole country's in lockdown. And I'm a prisoner in my own home. And if that wasn't bad enough, it turns out the virus is more racist than the fucking LAPD. Which means I'm walking about with a great big fucking bullseye on my back. I can hear a bit of commotion coming for the landing outside my flat, I'm telling you, I'm ready to let off a few live rounds in the direction of this selfish bastard. Of course, my abuse will need to be volleyed for a safe socially distanced space. So, as I swing my front door wide open, I'm surprised to find it's all Mrs. Henderson who stays in the flat opposite mine's looking up her house. I'm not sure what age she is, but with her wrinkly old puss and winter white hair, I'm guessing that she was still kicking about for the Spanish flu. Mrs. Henderson, I says, what are you doing out here? After she finishes looking up her door, she slowly turns to face the direction of my voice, and I can almost hear her brittle bones creaking as she turns round. Oh, it's you, Aldo, she asserts with a half-hearted smile. You do ken there's a pandemic going on? I ask her. I thought you all would be hiding under your beds. Hi, she sighs. But I need to go down to the shop. I've ran out of toilet roll. Can your son no go for you? I ask her. He's stuck down south. He can't get back up till next week. I stare at her all sympathetically. That's a shame. I was telling the lads the problem with society nowadays is nobody's got any respect for you old dears anymore. What can you do? She concedes. Well, I tell you what you could do for me. Grab me 20 L&B and a litre of vodka for the shop when you're down there. She seems a wee bit taken aback with my request, but reluctantly gives me a nod. I quickly pass her a 20 quid note without actually touching her hands. Just ring the doorbell when you're back and leave my stuff at the door. But then it came what you might be bringing back with you. Mrs. Henderson turns her whitey head down the flight of stairs, appearing a wee bit downbeat if truth be told. Then, in a moment of weakness, I decide to show a bit of mercy. Mrs. Henderson, I says. She glares back at me with a twinkly hope in her eyes. Aye, son. Here's a mask. Removing one of the flimsy cheap blue ones from my pocket before passing it to her. I didn't want you dying on me. Thanks, she tells me, before she goes to make her way down to the shop. I shout to her as she goes down the narrow flight of stairs. And dinna you be listening to that, Johnson. You old gins are going to be alright. And even though she doesn't let on to my wee confidence boost, I can't help but feel a wee bit better about myself as I head back into the flat. I walk into the kitchen to make my morning ritual cup of coffee. Just a wee caffeine boost before I hit the drink and snort some snow later. Jesus, I am faced with a sea of bags of bog roll laying in disarray on the bunker. I ken what you're thinking, What about old Mrs. Henderson, right? Well, I could have done the honourable thing, Ken. Be the good neighbour, gear you one of the packets of toilet roll. If that is, a wee bit of philanthropy floats your boat. But that wouldn't have got my smokes or body, would it? Nah, I mean, I am with these old gins in spirit, This is probably the most time I've spent in this house since forever. Because actually, I'm usually out and about, wheeling and dealing. Or doing the web, having a few jars with Dougie and Craigie. The boredom has been a fucking colour, likes. Only saviour is that I'd managed to borrow a couple of sociology books off Dougie, and they've somehow helped to idle the hours away. Been reading yin about this boy called Karl Marx, and he makes an awful lot of sense for a crowd. According to what I could understand about his sociology game, as soon as the umbilical cord's been cut, the system's the puppeteer, and you are the puppet. It's food for thought, to be honest, and I've been trying to digest it ever since my mind's took it in. Well, that must be Mrs. Henderson back for the shops, because somebody just rang my doorbell. Opening the front door, I find that my bottle of vodka and ciggies have been carefully laid outside. Without giving it much thought, I quickly grab the stuff and head back inside. I rest the bottle and ciggies on the hot coffee table in the living room before I head straight back through to the untidy bathroom to cake my hands in sanitizer. Business has plummeted because of this virus. I've lost a lot of fucking money, that's for sure. None of my runners will pick up or drop off for me in case they catch it. Deep down, I just wish I was still doing my community service, because nothing would deter they retards for doing business, thanks largely to the fact that none of them are playing with a full deck. That's why I've had to diversify my business by buying up loads of tin food and bog rolls so I can punt them off to the locals for a marked up price. Take the lassie above me, her bairn's autistic. It'll only eat Heinz spaghetti and sausages, which she just couldn't get for the shops. So, it retails at £1, and I sell her a tin for a tenner. Granted, likes, she wasn't happy about buying, but like I tell her, it's a seller's market. If the Prime Minister and his minions can make £1 or £2 of this human tragedy, then why can't Aldo? At least that's what I think. That way, they're better getting fucked to by the end of the rain than some toffee-nosed bastard sitting behind a desk. Anyway, I never heard the right Chancellor say anything about any financial support for local drug dealers. And at the end of the day, we've got to eat tea. Been buzzing out my nut most of the day, on coke and heavy bevying. You could argue it's a normal day for me, but I think it's a mindset thing with the boredom and that, Ken. Started on the gear earlier, and I've just been chilling out, listening to a few tunes ever since. It's not the same as being down the web though, but the music does help to keep me sane. On a positive note as well, I've also managed to give the flat a much needed spring clean. Obviously, this newfound love for cleaning was inspired with the energising effect of the chin. And just with the amount of sweetie wrappers and empty beer bottles I collected, I managed to fill up 3 of the large black rubbish bags. The coffee table and TV unit are sparkling clean tea after I gave them a wee polish. And with just a few blasts of vanilla Febreze air freshener, I managed to get rid of that gagging, smelly cigarette smoke that was polluting the air. About half an hour ago, there was raised voices coming for that lassie's house up the stair, and her bairn was screaming his tiny head off. Everything seems to have settled down now, but I'm sure I could hear a boy's voice, and as far as I ken, she's no got a felly. Anyway, I'm just setting up another line on my Oasis CD case, which I've carefully positioned on my lap. And as I snort the thick line of white through a rolled up £10 note, it feels as if the stuff has lit a fire in my brain. And just as I take a wee swig of my bottle of Budweiser, that noise from upstairs has started up again, but only this time it's louder. And the bairn can be heard hysterically greeting again. There's defo a boy up there, because I can hear his deep voice roaring, "You fucking bitch!" The lassie's yelping in pain like some wounded wolf, and I'm starting to think this cunt's giving her a battering like. Even with cracking up the volume of the music, I can't drown out her screams of pain. And now my mobile's started to vibrate on the coffee table, but well, to my surprise, it's actually a call for a landline number which I didn't quite recognise. Even still, I decide that I better answer the fucking thing. "Hello?" I says, "Who's this?" An elderly, softly spoken voice replies, "Is that you, Aldo, son?" "Aye, who's this?" I ask, while taking another swig of my bottle. "It's Mrs. Henderson." "Mrs. Henderson?" I say, "How did you get my number?" "Remember, son," she tells me, "you gave me your number a couple of months ago. You said if I ever need anything to just give you a bell." "I said that? And I gave you my right number? Jesus, I must have been smashed that day. So what can I do you for?" "Well," she says, "it's that lassie above you. I think her boyfriend's battering her again. He's a nasty piece of work. Could you go up and check on her, 'cause I'm awfully worried for her and her wee yin." "Aye," I sigh. "You get back to your coffin hen, I'll handle this." "Oh, that's great, son," she says, all relieved in that before she hangs up. By the time I throw on my pair of Timberland bits and head up to the second flare, her screams have got even louder, and all the folk in the building are standing at their doorways trying to hear what's going on. Finally, I'm at her door, staring down number 17, and I bang hard and on the thing, trying my best to imitate the familiar sound of the determined police cunts. Then, The door swings open, and I'm faced with some gremlin-looking bastard who's sweating and panting uncontrollably, his mouth foaming with a fit of rage. "What the fuck do you want?" he roars. And there's me jumping back, no wanting the saliva to hit me. "Listen, dafty, I didn't ken what this is about, and to tell you the truth, I didn't want to ken, but keep the fucking noise down." Then the young lassie appears from her living room before she stands cowering behind the boy. She's clearly marked with bruises, and there's blood trickling down from her nose and mouth. I dinna ken if it's the coke or my knack for mindless violence, but suddenly I've got an urge to smash this cunt about the building. "You did this?" I demand to Ken, gesturing towards the lassie. "Aye, I did," he says. "You got a problem with that? Do you ken who my brother is? He's Paul McCann. Ask around, pal. You'll no like what you hear." This threat gives me a soft chuckle. "And what am I going to hear like, eh? That you tongue his boys every night before his bed?" Immediately, he tries to take a swing at me, which I duly brush off before I give him a quick right hand to my own, duly busting his puss like a tomato. I've then grabbed him before I start giving him a few body blows until finally I throw him down a couple of flights of stairs. And straight away, everybody in the building can be heard cheering for their doorways. "Aldo! Aldo!" they chant. It was really something like. His motionless body's spread out over the pathway, and his pus looks like it's just been ran over with a train. I'm soon hovering over him, admiring my handiwork. "You tell your wee sister there's an open invitation at Aldo's," I tell him. "Number 8. Oh, and if I see you round that lassie and her bairn again, then believe you'll think this was a fucking toy fight." As I head back into my flat, I'm met with a hero's welcome for all the natives. Men, women, children are smiling and applauding me. And tell you the truth, I somehow feel like a bit of a movie star. But then, this single thought leaps to my mind. What if that cunt has got corona? As soon as I shut my door behind me, I strip down, bollock naked, and head straight into the shower. I scrub my body with hot water and soap. It feels as like I've been violated. I'm scrubbing myself that hard with a sponge that my skin's almost starting to peel off. And then suddenly, right there and then, I started coming up with a theory. And then I convinced myself that I'm right. What if her sending me up to batter that bastard was Mrs. Henderson's payback for me sending her to the shops? What if that sweet old wifey had actually set me up to die, and then there's me went and fell for it, and I didn't even see it coming. From Wuhan straight to Leith. What if I'm fucked?